So in terms of my full name and what I do, I'm Cath Handley. I'm the chair of the Waiheke Local Board, which is a component of the elected representative body of Auckland Council. There are 21 local boards in Auckland, and I'm Waiheke Island, so the second smallest board, but we have the most active and engaged community, which is why you hear about us a lot, because we are, I'm an advocate for Waiheke Island in multiple settings, including with Auckland Council's governing body and the Mayor, and also central government. So my job is to advocate for the board and for the people of Waiheke for now, because there's a local body election coming up, so watch that space. But I've been doing that for 6 years now. At the time when I did the ISL, I was the General Manager of National Women's Hospital in Auckland, and I'd had a number of CEO roles prior to that, and I'd been in my own business as, if you like, a change management agent, and I took up acting CEO roles for distressed businesses here and in Australia. My first engagement with ISL was to attend the Strategic Leadership Program #1. So, I was one of the guinea pigs for Jeff, and the ISL with the program. I already knew Jeff Lorigan, but I was also at a point within the Auckland District Health Board as General Manager in Health that there was a lot of change happening within the Auckland District Health Board. Some of that wasn't working for me, wasn't going to work for me, so it was an opportunity for me to also hone some leadership skills. So I'd been in several leadership positions over the preceding years, many years, but this was an opportunity to do something different and to focus on me, which was really important. Apart from Jeff himself promoting it directly to me, I think it was the opportunity to learn from a real business case, a living business, as opposed to something which was a theoretical situation or a business case which was a standard business case. That was that. It was also the opportunity to spend some quality time with other people in leadership roles, as opposed to things like symposiums or seminars, where you were just, in those days, because we weren't as dependent, or we weren't at all dependent on Zoom or Teams meetings or whatever. So we were more isolated at that stage than people are now in terms of technology. So it was a really good opportunity to mix and mingle across a whole range of leadership positions and different sectors. So in terms of my first experience with Millbrook, I think when you get there, you are immediately captivated by the physical surroundings. So you're surrounded by mountain ranges. You're in an enclosure. You probably, for me anyway, was like an immediate cut with my life in total, my private life, but my business life, and with the city of Auckland. So a very special place to arrive at, and suddenly to be alone in the sense that you're doing a course, you're there on your own, but also then to kind of just recognise that split from the past, or your immediate past, your life. So my key takeaways from being at the SLP1, immediately a restructuring came up where I was, which saw the amalgamation of two general manager roles, National Women's Hospital and Starship Hospital. I had been working crazy hours. There was no way, I didn't even believe in the model, so that was a good reason not to apply for the position as the general manager for both. So the immediate takeaway was such a transformation for me, not transformation, but taking a responsibility for my future that was not bound up in the restructure, but to recognise that I had leadership skills, and that the model wasn't working for me, and neither was the culture and the setting. So I think that was really important. It's not unusual I think, for people who attend the Strategic Leadership Program to feel themselves equipped and empowered to take some kind of major shifts in terms of what they might do from there. In terms of whether or an empowering incident or a turning point, I think probably there were more a number of things that happened that, as opposed to some kind of a bulb going off, you know, and I'm used to those moments. I think starting with understanding one's own personality according to the personality profiling. But I think the recognition also of other people's profiles had a profound impact and did impact my role and made me recognise immediately somebody I'd had real trouble working with. Not that they were the problem, but that my character type and their character type were so extraordinarily different and polar difference. So I think it was just a series of learnings. I think that what the SLP did was, for me, consolidate some skills around presentation, particularly, and enabled me also to approach different situations through the lens of character, different personality profiles that I was working with. I think also the learnings from the SLP, some of that also built on prior learning, so it's kind of incremental going forward. I think probably the mastering some skills around collaboration was really important, and I am a collaborator, so I would say I was a collaborator prior, but not with the same skill level as I was once I'd done the SLP. In terms of attending the SLP a second time, I have attended it in a number of different capacities. So one of those was taking an organisation for which I was the chief executive, going with board members to the SLP and being the business case. So that was hugely valuable, enormously valuable in my role. It was enormously valuable for the organisation. And it was probably very valuable for the chair of that organisation and the kaumātua on the board. And I think also having taking a bicultural organisation, or one that was building a bicultural kaupapa, into that setting was maybe a first, I believe, for the SLP, but also hugely valuable for learnings in both directions. Yeah. Being able to sit and to watch the issues being played out that were yours because you owned them as the CEO of an organisation, but being played out through the different lenses of the various groups there and the various solutions that they came up with. Some of those in actual fact were taken and were implemented and made a difference long term in terms of the strategy of the organisation, its strategic direction. So it was invaluable for the business. And I think all of the groups added value back into the organisation. For somebody considering leadership and the reason they would consider ISL is that ISL is actually the standout course in this country. You know, if you can access the means to go there, which, you know, for smaller NGOs and for smaller businesses, harder to get the resources to attend. But for anybody, first of all, nobody should ever stop learning. Secondly, it's a highly nuanced and skilled course. And I think it has so many dimensions to it that anybody and everybody should be able to grip up and learn from it and develop skills on the go. But I think the maturity of the people that you're working with as the other participants in that course, it's not just about the course itself and how it's structured. It is the people that you're with and what they bring. So you're kind of learning from them as much as you are learning, because of the structure of the course, from the course content. So when I mentioned that we were the guinea pigs for the SLP, it was SLP 1, so nobody had done it before. For me, that is because I like the new and I like learning, and it was an adventure for me, like an intellectual adventure, a social one as well. But I think that Jeff's credibility came with his prior roles at not only in business, but I think most particularly at Otago University and subsequently Auckland University. So, you know, one of the greats in terms of business leadership knowledge, had put together a course built on everything he had ever learned. And he put it together in such a skillful way. But yeah, putting myself up for it, that wasn't any issue at all. It was just a sense of, you know, a brilliant opportunity, and I was going to grab it, of course. So leadership development is really important. I think it's critical for anyone. There are all sorts of people I've worked with, and I wish they'd had it. That it does also, I think it's being open to experience. All leaders should be, and leadership development is really important. So I think the value of the SLP again is this enormous understanding of the components of leadership and how you can develop your own capacity and quality as a leader. I think anybody who closes their mind to leadership development actually has lost something really, an opportunity to do what they're doing better. So in terms of advice for others who are looking ahead at their career, for me that's been about understanding my core strengths, particularly my core values, never ever compromising on those, but allowing myself to be open to experiences. Now that's harder for some people than it is for me, because I've always been so excited by the notion of new experience, but I've always recognised that it's the skills I've taken, it's not sector skills. So I've been able to leap sectors, multiple sectors, sometimes at too great a rate, I have to say, but it is that I think if you can ground yourself with the values and ground yourself to understand your skill base, then you can be open to looking around, and you've also got to be open to where the world is right now. I think being prepared to cut yourself off is really important, and I've been there for other reasons during courses over the years, and I've seen people not being prepared in those early stages to simply open yourself and suck it up and cut yourself off. Like, if you can't organise your life before you get there to do that, then I'd have to say, what kind of a leader are you? Because a leader should be able to put time aside, quality time, and maybe in those, it's the early stages that add the value in the later stages when we do anything. You know, it's the grounding. So in terms of embracing it, I would say just go and do it, but get organised to do it, and just throw your life behind you. Cut it off, be prepared to cut it off, because every experience within that setting is something that could add huge value, including those, you know, the first few hours. So if you're toting your phone along and everybody needs you, boy, do you need that course.